Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yavashai, Baharakah Kadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there on the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And what I want to speak about is the mixed multitude. And we're going to have to also go into stranger. Now, what you have is these scoffers. They try and reference the mixed multitude that came out of Egypt with Israel, and they go as far as to say that that mixed multitude, the Lord made a covenant with that mixed multitude, or that they were, for lack of a better term, grafted in among Israel. So the Lord made a covenant with that mixed multitude, and they received an inheritance with Israel as Israel. This is a great error, and the reason they're trying to pull this stunt is so that they can justify their teaching that heathens, actual heathens, sons of other nations, can receive salvation through the gospel, when we know that the promises and the gospel is for the seed of Israel. The new covenant is made with the seed of Israel, as was the old. Alright, so we're going to deal with the mixed multitude now. It says mixed multitude, Exodus 12 and 38, a class who accompanied the Israelites as they journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, the first stage of the Exodus. Now it says these were probably miscellaneous hangers-on to the Hebrews, whether Egyptians or of the lower orders or remains of the Hyksos, as some think. So these were probably just because Egypt would have had other nations dwelling in it. You know, it was a major center of the world at that time, so you would have had other nations. So all different manner of people, you know, as it says, a mixed multitude had come out of Egypt with Israel. Now let's read it. Exodus 12 and 38, it says, and the mixed multitude went up, which the word mixed is Arab. Alright, that's where you get the word Arab. And the mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cows. Now it's very interesting that the mixed multitude is mentioned with the flocks and the herds, and a number wasn't given unto them, just as with a number wasn't given unto the cattle. A number was given unto the children of Israel. Alright, because that's who it's really all about. The Exodus was all about the Israelites being brought forth out of Egypt to serve the Lord. That's what the scriptures say. Alright, it had nothing to do with the mixed multitude, just as it had nothing to do with the flocks and the herds and the cattle. They were just there. Alright, and they're mentioned, and that's it. Now, before I get to the nail in the coffin on this mixed multitude becoming Israel and having part of the covenant, before I get that in Numbers, the first chapter, what I want to do is go in briefly on the term stranger, because we got to understand this. Stranger, alright, now you have Israelites, now the seed of Israel, right? Now when you're talking about stranger in the scriptures, there are two forms of stranger or sojourner. Now what does it mean to sojourn? It means to temporarily stay. Yeah, sojourn or sojourner, alright? A visitor. Yeah? Someone who's in a place where they have no inheritance. It's not their home. Now that can apply to the son of a heathen, because the land of Israel as its entirety, 12 tribes map. When you look at the land of Israel in its entirety, if a Moabite was to come into the land of Israel, or Edomite, or Ammonite, or Syrian, Arameans, so to speak, they would be considered visitors, because the entire land of Israel is exactly that. It's the land of Israel. It's not their land. So they would be sojourning in a foreign land, okay? Also, an Israelite could be considered a sojourner if they visited a part of the land of Israel where they had no inheritance. And an example of that, as it says here, a member of another tribe sojourning. So if a Gadite, someone from the tribe of Gad, was to travel to Manasseh, while he was in the inheritance of Manasseh, he would be a sojourner. Or a Gadite that travels to Benjamin, he would be a sojourner in Benjamin, a stranger. And the Levites is an example, because among all the tribes, the Levites were considered sojourners. And the word which in the Hebrew which is typically used to describe this is a gar, the Hebrew word gar. And the word in the Hebrew which is typically used to describe a heathen sojourner is nakar, or nakaria, okay? So let's get an excellent example of this. Exodus the 12th chapter, verse 43. It says, "And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, There is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof." So it's telling you point blank period that no stranger shall eat thereof. And then it goes down to Exodus 12 and 45 and further says, "A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof." So this foreigner and hired servant cannot eat thereof. So the stranger can't eat, the foreigner and the hired servant can't eat. Now when we go down, it says Exodus 12 and 48, "And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you." So which one is it? Can a stranger eat of the Passover or not? Well, you got to understand that the stranger that is spoken of in Exodus 12 and 43 is, drum roll please, a nakar, which represent a heathen, someone of another nation, foreigner. Yeah, that is foreign, an alien, right? And this word is also used a lot of times for idols, all right, for strange gods. Yeah, gods from another place, abstractly heathendom. All right. So the mixed multitude couldn't keep the Passover. Why? Because they were heathens. Yeah. Now, what type of stranger or sojourner could eat the Passover? When a stranger shall sojourn, this is your gar, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. Yeah, of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights. These are Israelites that are sojourning among other tribes. And this is why this particular form of stranger, as long as they're keeping the law as an Israelite they can eat of the Passover, because they are Israelites. Yeah? This is why you had laws for strangers. Yeah? Because you were to deal with an Israelite that was from another land, another part of Israel, with righteousness. A sojourner. Okay? Now, that being said, we see clearly in the scripture that there's a difference being put between someone who is of another nation sojourning and someone who is an Israelite which is sojourning. Because the Israelite is an Israelite. They're of the covenant. Now, let's look at Leviticus, the 25th chapter. Leviticus 25th and 25 and 45. It says, moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you. Alright. And there's another Hebrew word there for strangers. Meaning sojourner, stranger, foreigner. Alright. Especially as distinguished from a native citizen, a temporary inmate, a dweller but not outlandish, foreigner inhabitant. Alright. Sojourning in a strange country where he is not naturalized, an emigrant. Yeah? It says, moreover, the children of strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor. So you can take the children of strangers and put them in permanent captivity, but you can't do that with the seed of Israel. You understand? That mixed multitude didn't fall into the category of being of the children of Israel. Because as we read in Exodus the 12th chapter, they weren't numbered among Israel. So if they weren't numbered among Israel, they would be sojourners, strangers among Israel. And the law deals with them differently because they're not under the covenant. Alright? The Nakaya. Alright? Now, I think I've pretty much made that point. Let's go to Numbers 1. So when we go to Numbers, the first chapter, again, we see here that in preparation, right, the Lord said to Moses, take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel after their families by the house of their fathers with the number of their names, every male by their poles. This numbering didn't include the mixed multitude. You understand? Because the mixed multitude are not Israelites, and therefore they are not partakers with Israel. Okay? Facts. Now, I want to jump down to the 50. Where is that? Let's start from 45. Let's start from Numbers 1 and 44, okay? So, that's a beautiful place to start. These are those that were numbered with Moses, and Aaron numbered, and the princes of Israel. And again, the mixed multitude were not numbered, just like the cattle, just like the sheep. Alright, they weren't numbered. Alright, being 12 men. Alright, there weren't no 13th man that represented the mixed multitude. Alright, being 12 men, each one was for the house of his fathers. So were all those that were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their fathers from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war in Israel. Even all they that were numbered were 600,000 and 3,550. But the Levites, after the tribe of their fathers, were not numbered among them. Alright? Because the Lord had separated Levi. But Levi was still a part of the children of Israel. For the Lord had spoken unto Moses, saying, only thou shalt not number the tribe of Levi, neither take the sum of them among the children of Israel. But thou shalt appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony. So notice, where is the mixed multitude in all this? What's going on? They're not there, because this is not for them. And over all the vessels thereof, and over all things that belong to it, they shall bear the tabernacle and all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp around about the tabernacle. So the Levites were encamped directly around the tabernacle, right? In fact, oh man, I believe, there we go. So this is what it looked like. Yeah, you had the different tribes that were camped around, oh come on, God, the tabernacle. Okay, so where was the mixed multitude? They were outside of this. Yeah, they were outside of this, but every tribe was numbered and placed around the tabernacle. All right, so let's go back. It says and when the tabernacle setteth forward, the Levites shall take it down, and when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. So a stranger, what am I doing? That cometh nigh shall be put to death. Yeah, you see? Now let's go back. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp. So where was the camp for the mixed multitude? They were outside, mate. They were outside. Yeah, they were camped outside. And every man by his own standard there throughout their hosts. But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacle of testimony, that there be no wrath upon the congregation of the children of Israel. Because really only the Levites. If you weren't a Levite, you couldn't come near. And then you had the children of Israel. But where was the place for the mixed multitude? There was none. They had to be even outside of that. They were without. And the Levites shall keep the charge of the tabernacle of testimony. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So they did. Alright. So we see here that the Lord numbered all the Israelites, set the tabernacle up. The Levites were around the tabernacle. No one that wasn't of Levi could be around there. Yeah, so if you were strange to Levi, then you couldn't be around. Then surrounding that were the camps of the Israelites. So where was the mixed multitude? They were outside of that. They weren't even mentioned here because they're not a part of it. They were without, just like with the cattle and the sheep. All right, they weren't no place for them. Otherwise, the scripture would have put a place. They would have been numbered. How could they be numbered according to the house of their fathers when they weren't of the fathers? So they weren't numbered. They weren't included. They were excluded. Just like the sheep ain't included. Yeah. So the mixed multitude, the Lord never made no covenant with them. Right? The Lord wasn't dealing with the mixed multitude. They were mentioned once that they were there with the cattle and the sheep, and that was it. They weren't grafted in. They didn't turn into Israel. You know, they didn't go sleep one night and wake up the next day and they were Israelites. No. They were sojourners among Israel, and that's it. Strangers among Israel, and that's it. They didn't have no inheritance, and they didn't share in the blessings. or the promises to that matter. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom.